Hey everybody, it's Daniel. Welcome back to Spain to Go, the best podcast in the entire multiverse about all things Spain. This is episode 20, and we're going to talk about how to beat the heat in Madrid or elsewhere. It's summertime and it's hot. I'm recording this in the little spare bedroom at the back of my house. It is 9:09 in the morning and I'm sweating. Not a lot of air circulation in here, and of course I have to reduce the noise. So there's not much I can do about all of this heat. But today I'm going to share some strategies that you might use to beat the heat in Madrid or elsewhere. Barcelona is not that hot compared to other parts of Spain. We're on the Mediterranean, so we get some sea breeze. However, I know every time it gets really hot in Madrid because my article on expatmadrid.com about how to beat the heat gets a lot more traffic than usual. Every time there's a spike in the temperature, there's also a spike in traffic on that article. So, if there's one thing nearly everyone can agree on these days, it's that it's hot. And in a country where many houses don't have air conditioning and where the price of electricity is constantly rising, this is more than a minor problem. Every summer, like clockwork, the temperature rises and local residents seemingly are shocked. Eso no es normal, they can be heard to say. Hace mucho calor. Of course, the heat for the most part is normal. In Madrid, we even have a proverb about it. 3 meses de infierno y 9 meses de invierno. That would be, it rhymes in Spanish, so it's better. That would be 3 months of hell and 9 months of winter. Right now, we're in the infierno part of the story, the hell part. What should a good Madrileño do to beat the heat? Well, the debate rages on, and many Spaniards are also convinced that a bit of air conditioning will kill you faster than the 2014 Ebola outbreak, or, pick your pandemic of choice. However, to help you stay cool, I've compiled a short list of tips. If you're looking to avoid the heat or at least feel better about it, these next few weeks of sticky, sweaty discomfort will pass, but it can be easier with my tips. So, number 1, drop those persianas. The persianas are like the rolling shutters you might have over your window, and they're pretty cool. They're a good invention, especially for keeping out light. However, I don't think that they're going to keep your house very cool. They work a lot better if you have an AC, and they work even better if you can actually afford to use your AC, which not everybody can. However, you can effectively shut the sunlight and part of the heat out of your house by having them down during the day. But unless you have the windows open or the aircon on, it's still going to be hot. Well, windows open, it'll be hot also. And sweating in stagnant air, in my opinion, can't be any worse for you or better for you than a little draft. So limit your expectations about the rolling shutters. Your second option, a very popular one, is to be a vampire. A lot of people do this. Staying indoors till sundown seems to be a popular option among locals. You might naturally have other things to do during daylight hours than lie in a dark coffin-like room waiting for nightfall. A day job, perhaps? But if you have a lifestyle that permits it, by all means, stay in bed with a wet towel on your head all you want. You might need some patience, though. Did I mention that it gets dark around 10 p.m.? Yeah, 10 p.m. Thanks to Spain's silly choice of time zone back during the dictatorship, you might be spending quite a lot of time at home. Third option, for beating the heat, you could get in touch with your inner bovine. I remember back on the ranch in Arizona where the heat is, in fact, much worse than in Madrid. I can't remember eating lighter or cooler foods in summer. My mom would make a nice hearty beef stew in January or in August. Pass the biscuits. It was delicious. But at this time of year, a lot of real Spaniards go on an all salad and gazpacho diet. And to be fair, eating lighter in summer does seem to work. A piping hot plate of lentils with chorizo is delicious, and it's a great way to spend a long Spanish evening. A salad with some tuna and hard-boiled egg won't heat you up nearly as much and might let you sleep a lot easier at night. Option 4. Hang out in the park. This one also depends, of course, on your not having a day job to go to, but if you can, by all means. In Madrid, Parque Retiro is fantastic. In other cities, I'm sure you have great parks of some kind. Here in Barcelona, our parks are not very exciting, but we do have a lot of beach where you can hang out and cool off. And if you've got the time to just sit and do nothing for hours on end, possibly in the shade, go for it. Speaking about Madrid, if you're tired of Retiro, there are some other parks around town that are pretty nice. You could go to Casa de Campo, El Capricho, Parque Berlin, and more. You can get some shade and get some green in your life, and you won't notice the heat quite so much. Another good option, option 5, get out of town. Perhaps more expensive than catching the metro to Retiro, but unless you're, for example, an English teacher watching the contents of your secret money sock approach zero in August, you can probably afford to head to the beach for a few days. And you're in luck. Being on a peninsula means that Spain is surrounded on all sides by beautiful beaches. The most famous are in Valencia, Alicante, and Andalusia, but you shouldn't forget the north coast either. There are some very nice beaches in Galicia, Asturias, Cantabria, and País Vasco. And if you prefer, another option is to head for the hills. The mountains north of Madrid are beautiful, and a lot of locals love to take a day trip or a weekend trip to Cercedilla or Miraflores or one of the other cute towns for a cooling off and perhaps a walk in the woods. One popular spot up there, Rascafria. It's very remote unless you have a car, but they have some natural pools where you can get in some very cold water if you'd like. Number 6, get all sloppy and wet. Related to the last one, Madrid has some pretty nice public pools. You can check out the one in Lago in Casa de Campo or in Moncloa, or just Google around and see if there's one in your neighborhood. The niceness of the pool depends on the neighborhood, of course. However, there are pools in many areas. It'll cost you a few euros to get in, but afterwards you can sit around all day on the grass, relax, have a picnic, and enjoy the scenery. Whatever you want. If you want to go further out, there are the pools in the mountains that I just mentioned. There's a very cold natural pool in Cercedilla, surrounded by pines and mountains, and also one in Rascafria. These pools are actually fed by water from mountain streams, and the temperature is just above freezing all year long, even if it's insanely hot downtown. Option number 7, you could move to one of the Pueblos Blancos. Of course, in Andalusia, they've been dealing with the heat for millennia, and they have their own strategies. Many small towns are painted all white, which reflects the sun and keeps people inside the houses cool. The streets are narrow in these towns, which also provides some much-needed shade, and you can sit in one of the lovely Andalusian patios and enjoy a respite from the heat in the afternoon. Have some cold sherry while you're at it, and maybe chomp on a couple of tortillas de camarones. You will not regret it. Of course, that might be a little bit far away from your life in Madrid, where summer is a ghost town with these wide streets where the sun beats down on you like a hammer, and you find yourself wishing that autumn would come sooner. But if you can, check out one of the Pueblos Blancos someday. Number 8, drink more beer. This one, much to my liver's chagrin, is my personal favorite. My advice, find a terraza, with an umbrella, of course, and stop being all puritanical about drinking between meals. Listen, if America was built by colonists who stayed hydrated on pints of beer and huge quantities of wine, and it was, there shouldn't be a problem with sitting back and letting the mau flow freely on a hot summer day. At least until the weather cools down and it's time to order some Rioja. Finally, option 9, beat the heat in Madrid by moving somewhere hotter. This is if all else fails, of course. It's not exactly practical, but trust me, it works. I grew up in the desert outside Phoenix, Arizona. You want heat? Try spending a couple of decades out there. We don't even have shade for the most part, unless standing in the shadow of a giant cactus works for you. Don't even try sitting down. Everything in the desert has spines. After you've done 10 or 20 Sonoran desert summers, come back to Madrid and let's talk. It'll feel a lot cooler. I promise. By the way, is the aircon makes you sick thing an old wives' tale, or can you actually get a cold from the chilly blasts of air at the office? Well, funny thing about that, I have done some research and the jury's still out. The science says maybe. That's all I've got for today. I hope you are enjoying the heat wherever you are in Spain or wherever you are in the rest of the world. Like I said, this is episode 20, which I am rather proud to have made it this far with the Spain to Go podcast. 99% of podcasts, from what I've read, do not make it to episode 20, so here we are. I guess I'll be doing bigger and better things soon. So you can check out expatmadrid.com for more about everything happening in Madrid, Barcelona, and the rest of Spain. You could subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you subscribe to things. You could send me a donation if you would like. expatmadrid.com/donate will take you right to a page where that is possible. There's all kinds of ways that you can support this podcast. I appreciate you. I'm happy to know that there are people out there listening. And nada más por hoy. I hope you have a great day, and we will talk soon. Bye.